Hey guys, I just want to say that if you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. I'm a small content creator and could really use your support. I live stream 100% of the gameplay for games that I review, and I'm also always trying to keep up with the big named movies that are being released. If you would like to support the channel monetarily, you can do so through PayPal, or even better yet, you can get yourself some merch from my Teespring store. If you want to get better connected, you can do so through the social links in the description below, and please do consider joining the Discord. If you do, you can voice chat with me through my headphones while I live stream, and you won't be recorded on YouTube or Twitch. That's all I've got, guys. I hope that you really enjoy the video. Hello everyone and welcome. Do you enjoy fighting the demons of hell? Well, I'm Mike, and this is Mike's After Action Reviews, and this is...
Brian.
And today we're doing the After Action review for Diablo II Resurrected. So, as you guys can see, we're doing something a little bit different this time around. For the very first time at Mike's After Action Reviews, I have a guest helping me with a video game review. So basically, how this is going to work is, I'm going to do my little rundown of the game, as I always do, and then we're going to bring Brian in at the end, and we're going to have a discussion about the game as a whole. So, starting off with the production, Diablo II was originally developed by Blizzard Entertainment and Vicarious Visions, and published by Blizzard Entertainment in June of the year 2000, with Diablo II Resurrected being released earlier this year in 2021. So, moving on to the story. Diablo II has a very interesting story structure. The opening cinematic introduces you to the character Marius, who serves as the narrator for most of the game. Marius is in a tavern when a strange wanderer enters, causing demons to appear and attack the other patrons. The wanderer beckons Marius to follow him. For the first 3 of the game's 5 acts, you chase them across the land, while also trying to uncover the mystery behind the identity of the Wanderer, his intentions, and why evil seems to follow him wherever he goes. Moving on to the game's core gameplay mechanics, there are 2 core gameplay mechanics in Diablo II. One is combat. The game is isometric, relying on pointing and clicking to attack. You can choose between one of 7 classes, each of which has an arsenal of different abilities to dispatch the forces of hell. The Amazon is a versatile fighter using both spear and bow to strike enemies near and far. The Assassin uses stealth and agility to turn her body into a weapon. Necromancers curse their enemies and summon minions to fight for them. Barbarians are unequaled in weapons mastery, using a variety of weapons and armor to stand toe-to-toe with Hell's demons. The Paladin is a holy warrior who stands stalwart in the face of danger and uses his holy powers to both heal and empower. The Sorceress uses her mastery of fire, ice, and lightning to dispatch her enemies, and, my personal favorite, the Druid uses the powers of nature to take on the form of the bear or wolf, command beasts, and harness the magical power of nature's wrath. Looting is the game's other core mechanic. Throughout the game, you will find better and better gear with different levels of rarity: standard, magic, rare, unique, and set gear pieces. Set gear pieces are powerful individually, but when worn together, they increase in power and offer unique bonuses. Each piece of gear in the game has a % drop chance. Higher rarity levels of gear have increased drop chances at higher difficulty levels, which are unlocked for each character after completing the game for the first time with that character. Moving on to the special features in the game, we'll start with character progression. Each of the different classes has 3 progression trees unique to that class, and 4 attributes. Strength increases melee damage. Vitality increases health and stamina. Dexterity increases hit chance, and energy increases mana. It should be noted that weapons and armor often have a strength or dexterity requirement to be used. Each time that you level up, you receive 1 point to be used for skills and 5 points to distribute amongst your attributes. The game has a max level of 99, with most players being able to beat the normal difficulty with a character between level 30 and 35 in about 30 hours, if you do everything. But after beating the game on normal, you will unlock Nightmare and Hell difficulties for that character. Aside from the looting and combat mechanics, the game also has a very extensive upgrade system. Upgrading in Diablo II can do everything from increasing your gear's stats, to giving lifesteal, damage reflect, increases to your character's attributes, and different elemental damage: fire, lightning, cold, and poison. Finding or creating a socketed piece of gear allows the player to upgrade that gear by placing different upgrade material into the socket. The player will find gems, jewels, skulls, and runes throughout the game. Gems are divided into 6 different types: ruby, sapphire, topaz, emerald, diamond, and amethyst, each offering a different magical effect on the item. The enchantment they offer also differs depending on the type of gear that they are socketed into. Skulls make a weapon steal life and mana, offer mana and life regeneration to armor, and make an enemy take damage when socketed into a shield. Placing 3 skulls or gems of the same type and level into the Herodric Cube, an item that you will receive in the game's second act, will allow you to combine them and increase the power of the magical effect that they give to socketed equipment. Unlike gems and skulls, jewels offer a randomly rolled magical effect that does not change based on the type of item they are socketed into. Runes are a special part of Diablo II in that they are the very rare and heavily sought after way in which players unlock the most powerful gear. There are 33 rune types, each of which individually enchants your gear in a different way, but their power is only truly unlocked when combined. When the proper runes are socketed in the correct order on a proper piece of gear, you will create a rune word. Rune words are extremely powerful enchantments that offer massive stat boosts and unique magical properties to your gear. Okay, everybody, so moving into our final review statements here. Brian here has played the game since it was first came out it was 2000?
Yeah, it was 2000.
Okay, so we're going to talk about a couple of things and I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. So, give us kind of like your thoughts on the game. Just give us like a little mini review of like what you think of the game just in general.
Well, the game did come out in 2000, but it only had the 5 main classes. It didn't have the druid and it didn't have the assassin. They were added in the Diablo II Lord of Destruction expansion that happened a year later. So, like you had said earlier, you like the druid. Well, when I started playing it, I got into the necromancer because of out of the 5 classes available at the time, it was the most interesting because you could do the golem build or the bone build, that kind of thing. But overall, the game it was excellent for when it came out, and in 2000 there wasn't anything like it. Yeah, I know you had some first-person shooters like Quake and that kind of thing, but for hack and slash, Blizzard really set the standard for this type of game. And even if you read anything, it was like one of the best-selling games of all times, just based on how successful it was.
Okay, so all right, no, so I played the original, and one of the things I want to talk about is the remaster. So like the remastering of this game was really great. like I said, I played the original, not as much as you played of it, but the remaster was awesome. One of the things is that with Warcraft 3, when the Warcraft 3 Reforged, people complained that they didn't do enough. At their GameCon, BlizzCon, they showed remastered cutscenes, and they showed some other things that just weren't present in the final Warcraft 3 Reforged. And then here, the totally remastered cutscenes, totally remastered system. One thing that they did add that was a little bit controversial was the stash system. So in the game, you have a stash, which is just basically a big treasure chest, a big open inventory system. And it used to be that you had one stash. And now if you open up the stash, there's one page that is your personal stash, and then four shared four shared stashes. It's either 4 or 3. Anyway, you have some shared stash pages where you can basically, when you put items into there, non-ranked ladder characters have access to that. That's a great improvement, but along with that came the issue where they made it so that way characters who are made in single player cannot be then taken into either co-op to play with your buddies or into multiplayer, even if it's non-ranked. So basically, when you make a single player character, you can only play that character single player. You cannot co-op. Now, you have to play on dedicated servers if you want co-op or multiplayer at all. And some people have been a little bit upset with that. Like, what did you... I know that we talked about this a little earlier before we did the review. Like, what did you think of that?
Well, it all depends on a person's perspective. I like single player, and I like how they separated it out anyway, because in Diablo... They had those issues because they didn't have data for your character was actually stored on your local computer, right on your personal computer, and there were people who wrote interceptor programs that when they would play, they could intercept the data being transmitted back and forth, and you could actually increase your characters to whatever you wanted, and even when Diablo II came out, they had an open realm, which was basically like what they've done now is you have single player. This was open. You could do whatever you wanted. Your data was saved on your local computer. You wanted to hack and make your character like ultra uber strong, you could do that. But then you also had closed where you had to play on BattleNet. And that was one of the big things was BattleNet that's first of its kind, a free online way to connect with people. And but that was separate also because then they stored that on that was on their servers. I like it that they divided it up because in single player, if you're going to play that, it's what you can do. You can't take the character in and have him piggyback off of somebody who's stronger and help you power level your character up. Single player, it all depends on what you do and how you progress individually. But if people want to do it in the, like you said, the networked version of their character, well, they're still going to be able to, they can power level or people up and everything else like that. But I, again, preferring single player over co-op play, I think it's good that they separated them because it just, again, it shows individually what you've done with your single player versus what you can do with other people helping you out or you even helping other people out.
Right.
So...
No, okay, so yeah, because it is kind of a trade-off. Like you're missing out on being able to maybe switch between multiplayer and single player at will, but at the same time you still kind of stabilize certain things within the game as far as progression and things. And I actually did like the stash. I think that there wouldn't have been a controversy at all if now people would still have the same problems like you're talking about, but there wouldn't have been a controversy at all if they had made the stash system shared, and then you don't need mule characters or things like that. But you'd still have some of those issues. So it's a trade-off. So the remaster, like I said, was great. The stash system, controversial. Looking at this game, how do you think that this game, not your final review score, but just like the way that it's created, how games in general, like we have Blizzard right now kind of in a little bit of a controversy, and we don't have to get really into the big thing of the controversy going on, but kind of being able to bring back a classic game, and we go back to like the days of yore when Blizzard was in their golden age. How do you think that that games now are being created and compare to, like this game in the past, Diablo II? Like you said, it was one of the greatest games. How do you think things are going now with Blizzard and with the gaming industry versus how they were going then, having brought this new game back and being able to compare it?
Well, if Blizzard sticks to what they've normally done, they have always done with their games, they always make sure they have a solid product before they release anything. That's why you haven't seen a lot of, you haven't seen anything really out of them until this remastered, but they had the foundation to build on. So that's all they had to do. The gameplay, the core mechanics, all that stuff of the Blizzard games they're solid. No ifs, ands, or buts. They're some of the best made games in history. So, but as long as they stick to their philosophy, their overall, it doesn't matter about the little inner problem moving parts. If they stay with their core philosophy, they build out a game. They will not release that game until they have thoroughly tested it and it's going to be solid. So you're not going to have some
like Skyrim or The Witcher.
Right? Yeah. The game is when they release a game, they like to be as solid as possible and to be thoroughly tested.
Or Cyberpunk. Yeah, Cyberpunk too.
Right, and as long as Blizzard does that, anything that they release in the future should be solid. And if they build on their old legacy games that they had and they just improve just minor aspects of it, the gameplay and everything is still excellent. So
yeah, so one of the things that I've always said to people too is like I'm waiting for Warcraft 4, and people say, well, Blizzard, they've got World of Warcraft and single player games aren't doing anything. And what people need to realize is that actually MMOs are a small part of the market. Activision owns Blizzard, and they also own I think it was FIFA. Don't Activision own FIFA or whatever? It doesn't matter. No, Candy Crush. Activision owns Candy Crush, and Candy Crush makes like more than 10 times more money for Activision than World of Warcraft does. Like MMOs are a very niche part of the gaming genre, and single player games, like people say, they're going away from that because they don't make them as much money and they're not as good. But then all I have to do is point out StarCraft 2. The latest StarCraft 2 came out, in 2018, 2019, I think? Yeah, that very recently came out, and it was an excellent game. And I'm telling you, I would rate it on my scale, I'd rate it as an excellent. And what I think that they could do with World of Warcraft and if they made a Warcraft 4, is you have your latest update of World of Warcraft, and then you put that into the storyline that creates into Warcraft 4. And then from Warcraft 4, you have your storyline, and then whatever arcs or characters that they can introduce there, they can then bring into World of Warcraft, and then have another arc and do their own stuff again in World of Warcraft, and have the two games kind of feeding back and forth into each other, as far as you could do Warcraft 5 then continuing, and I think that StarCraft 2 really showed. I mean, they made 3 StarCraft games. They called them expansions, but they were basically 3 released games. I spent $200 on StarCraft 2, and I'm happy that I did. Think about how much, and they made a lot of money off of that. So kind of thinking about that, that kind of brings into my next part. What do you think Blizzard's future is? Because thinking back of the games that they have Diablo Immortal, which is a mobile game. They have Hearthstone and all these kind of mobile game offshoots that they've created. I know that their MOBA game, Heroes of the Storm, has now kind of, they've said that we're kind of done with competitive with that. Not that it necessarily is a super failure, but it's dead. Not really as far as competitive or major updates for it. It's run its course. But other than StarCraft 2, it was StarCraft 2 and Overwatch are the 2 games that have really been coming out in the World of Warcraft. Now it's kind of having this dip as far as how World of Warcraft has gone. What do you think the future for, talking about World of Warcraft, World of Warcraft now is kind of pales in comparison to what it used to be. What do you think they're going to do with games like World of Warcraft now maybe not being as good as it used to be? and then also the future of their single-player style games?
Well, I did play Warcraft for about 10 years.
World of Warcraft.
And yeah, World of Warcraft. Right. I played all the other regular Warcraft games, but World of Warcraft, yeah. And it did. It got kind of repetitive, just repackaging and release stuff. So I haven't played it for a while. But if Blizzard can build off of what they've done in the past, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, though, like StarCraft and all those, yeah, those were excellent games they had. But Blizzard, again, if they don't believe their philosophy, if a game does not meet their standards and does not have the capabilities to succeed, they don't release it, because
Right.
StarCraft Ghost was supposed to come out. That was supposed to be like a third person where you just played as the ghost character. That looked like it was going to be an excellent game too, but it just did not meet their standards, so it didn't come out. But as far as whatever they have planned, if they stick with their philosophy that they've always used in the past, I think they'll do just fine. And the big thing also that they're adapting themselves to is they used to be PC. They only would do stuff on PC, and so now they're going to the gaming platforms.
Like Diablo 3. Yeah.
Right, going to the PS4, PS5, the Xbox, and all that stuff. So I think they're just trying to develop how to get in touch with more of a fan base again. But if they use the products like they did before and just stick to their philosophy, I think they're going to be just fine in whatever endeavor they're going to try and may come out with. So.
Actually, that makes me... Actually, I hadn't thought about that before, but I want to ask you this. What do you think... How do you think that... Did you play Diablo 3?
Oh, yes. I still actually have the game.
So I haven't played Diablo 3, and I know Diablo 4 is coming out. Actually, I don't know exactly when it's coming out, but it's been announced.
Yep.
How do you think that Diablo 3 compared to Diablo 2?
Well, I mean, they had... because in the first one, in Diablo 2, they had a paladin, but I didn't really think much of that character class. But in 3, I actually liked it. Some people complain and everything else, but I think that the core mechanics of both of them were the same, close to the same. I mean, there were some graphical improvements and everything else like that, but the basic overall play that they built on was what they were known for. So the base play, I think that they were both good. It's just that in 3, they just were trying to up their game a little bit, but they were still building off the core mechanics that they actually established in Diablo 2 anyway. So,
okay. So can you? Yeah. So kind of getting to in closing here, can you give us your final review score? How do you think? You said that it was excellent when it came out. How do you think that Diablo 2? We talked about the remaster and everything, but all the core gameplay mechanics are the same. How do you think that Diablo 2 stands today amongst modern video games that we have today? As on my scale. So we have bad, below average. Excuse me. Bad, below average. This is live, everybody. We're not cutting this. Bad, below average, average, above average, and excellent. How do you think that it stands today?
Well, again, the solid play, the solid hack and slash type. It just depends on the kind of genre, but I would give it between an excellent and above average. So it's still in that category.
Like a high above average?
Yes, high above average, yeah.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So there's high above average. Now I'm gonna come right out and tell you guys, I think that it might be nostalgia, and being a person who plays, I'm a YouTuber, I do video game reviews, and I play games, and some of them are bad, and then I've even said this, there's kind of been a little bit of a dip in the industry lately, and then kind of getting even a solid game makes you go, oh man, go for nostalgia. I'm going to come out and say that this is an excellent game. I'm going to say that this is just solid, excellent game. You have so first of all, this was a really good established base to as far as a remaster. I think that this was a really I think this is a really great remaster. I know that there's this issue with the multiplayer play and stuff, but I actually did like the upgraded stash system. I didn't necessarily like not being able to take my awesome co-op, my awesome single player game into co-op, but I get that. That's okay. It is a trade-off. Nothing is perfect. But with the loot and stuff, as far as you're saying hack and slash and looting and stuff, I mean, people have played thousands of hours on each of their characters to just build these awesome characters with all the right gear and all the right skills and all the right stuff. And especially once you get into late game where you play through you play through normal difficulty, then you can go through nightmare and hell and you get better and better and better gear. Especially when you play multiplayer too, because you can show off and kind of play with other characters and fight other players and stuff like that in duels and things. My biggest thing in games is like a connection to the character and being able to character progression. I really love when games make really good character progression. The story is really solid here too, so I'm going to definitely say this is an excellent game. If you haven't played it before, definitely check this one out. I know that some people have said, I've talked to some people who aren't here to say anything now, but I've talked to some people who've said that they didn't like Diablo 3 as much as Diablo 2, so I would and from what I'm hearing from you is that, hey, look, if you like Diablo 3, you're probably going to like Diablo 2 Remastered. This is an excellent game, and there you have it. So here at Mike's After X Reviews, we've got a high above average to excellent game, and so definitely one worth checking out. So anything else that you want to say to our viewers before we go, Brian?
Yeah, just hit the thumbs up and the subscribe.
Yeah, and awesome. Thanks, guys. We really, really appreciate it. That's all we've got for you. We just want to say thank you all for watching. God bless you all, and have a good day.